Good morning, everybody. I seem to have lost a day. I've just had to check the date on something, and I realised it was the 7th of what we in April. I thought it was the 6th. Oh goodness me, where is time going? You know, is the world up? Is the world down? What's going on? Anyway, I hope you're all okay. Goodness, these are strange times, aren't they? So I think it's Tuesday. I think it's April. I was going to say February, but time is just flying by. So I was meditating earlier this morning, and I know I've spoken to a few of you already this morning. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to share with you that what I wanted to do this week was really just concentrate on the heart center. And the heart is all about giving and receiving and expanding our awareness and allowing the intelligence of the heart, because the heart has its own intelligence, to help us to be better people. So yeah, good morning to those of you that have joined me. It's lovely to have you on board. It's a beautiful day here in Geneva. The sun's been shining. There's a little bit of a nip in the air, but it is beautiful. They were tidying the garden with a strimmer before, and the noise was just rising very, very loud. So I have got one window open, the one furthest away from me. So I'm hoping that if it does start up, you won't hear the noise. And if it does, I shall have to go and close the window. So I just wonder how everybody's doing. Apparently, Mr. Boris Johnson is in hospital, so, you know, irrespective of our political desires or whatever, I mean, obviously I've been out of the UK anyway since last January. It would be nice if we could all offer a prayer up to him and maybe send him some healing, because regardless of what we think is going on or what news and propaganda's out there, we don't know the truth. To be honest, we may never know the truth in all of this. I think all we can do is just be present, be heart-centered in the now, and take care of ourselves now. Doesn't anything else matter at the end of the day? I know many of you have been posting pictures of gardening and enjoying some fresh air and some, you know, just the plants, the nature, connecting back to the basic things in life. And I think that's very important. I went to sit by the trees yesterday in the park, and just, you know, because it's warmer, just being able to sit with my feet on the grass, it was really beautiful. And it was lovely to see a few people in the park, obviously keeping, you know, 2 meters apart, but just watching the families enjoy themselves. I think there's a lot of very, very lonely people out there. So, you know, many of you know me, many of you know that I absolutely love hugs. I just think it's something really beautiful. And at the moment, you know, that's taken away from us. Obviously, I have a few friends here. A lot of my friends are on the French border. I can't see them. And I can make friends anyway. But the fact is, at the moment, you know, when you see people walking with the head down, some people will say bonjour, some people won't. And what was interesting yesterday, I decided to treat myself to a cake, and there's a lovely boulangerie around the corner, and it was 5 people were allowed in the shop last week. Now it's down to 1, so obviously there's a queue outside. And what was interesting was, while I was stood in the queue, there was an older lady. She must have been at least 70. And she was out and about. She was obviously fit and healthy. And she came out of the shop with what looked like 2 coffee cups and a croissant. And what was lovely was she just sat by the wall and she dipped her croissant into the coffee and she just carried on. And I stood there and I just thought, how wonderful. I bet this woman's done this forever. And she just wants to carry on her own routine, coronavirus or otherwise. This is what she does every day to put a smile on her face and a spring in her step. And she said hello to me and I smiled back. And I said goodbye when I left. And I just thought, at least somebody's talked to me today. I'm quite happy because many of you are checking up on me, many of you phone me, and I've got friends and family, and it's wonderful. And of course, I've been used to travelling, since January last year, so I have spent the bulk of my time on my own. But I know for a lot of you, and I've had a few messages saying that a lot of you are actually really struggling with this. And there is no normal at the moment. But what we do have to do is do our best to find a way that we can keep ourselves strong, we can keep smiling. So I'm sorry if you can hear the noise of the sirens. Whether you need to smile at your favourite song, whether you need to laugh at your favourite video. I put Harry Enfield on this morning because I just adore Harry Enfield. My brother got me started with Harry Enfield years ago, and I just love the guy. So I will be posting a thought-provoking interview every day. I posted the interview with Denzel Washington yesterday, which was quite lovely. I watched it last year. I know my son Matthew in New Zealand said that he finds him a real inspiration. And for those of you that don't know, Denzel Washington was an academic failure. We have a patriarchal society. Well, that society's gone to tits up now, hasn't it? I think it's wonderful when we can actually just get back into the creative side. So now it's kind of flipping into the divine feminine. That doesn't mean that all you men out there are going to start wearing knickers and bras, It just means that we get back into the creative side. Hopefully many of us are learning the feminine side of maybe nurturing ourselves more, nurturing others. I know some of you are alone. I know some of you are with your families. I know some of you are finding it quite challenging. I'm just grateful, seriously, that I can actually go out for a walk every day. Partly for the physical exercise and the fresh air and the practicalities, but I do suffer cabin fever. One of my friends has messaged this morning to say, he's over 70 and he is struggling a little bit with cabin fever because he's classed as one of the risk groups. So, I took great joy in seeing this lady yesterday, just dipping her croissant into the coffee. And I thought, yeah, isn't it wonderful when we can just be? And I think because many of us, or many of you, have just taken time out of life and just said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this time. Because, none of us know what's on the other side of this. A friend sent me a video this morning of the guys going to the pub after the lockdown, and they were drooling as the pub, pours the beer. And I was just laughing to myself. Many of you know that I don't drink alcohol, but I was talking to my friend Magdalena yesterday, and she just said, Mary, I haven't seen anybody. I go for a walk by the lake every day, and I've just not seen anybody. And she lives on her own, and it's wonderful when you can talk through WhatsApp or FaceTime and see somebody's face, And she was saying, when this is over, as soon as this is over, I am getting the train to Geneva. I am bringing strawberries and champagne, and we are getting pissed on the park. And I will hold my hand up, because even though I have not drunk for many, many years, I am going to try the champagne, because it will be such a joy to see her again. And a joy, obviously, to see my other friends. It will be a pleasure not to have to queue up to get into the supermarket, not to... I know I sneezed in the supermarket yesterday, and I just kind of thought, oh shit, all these people are going to think I've got the virus. And, it's just, goodness me. I mean, obviously, I know many of you... a few of my friends have had it, a few of my friends have got it, and obviously Mr. Johnson's quite seriously ill, from what we've been told in a hospital. So I'm not making light of this. What I'm trying to do is just make you aware that positivity will actually keep your immune system in a tip-top shape and form, because we can all buy into the fear, watch the news every 5 minutes and think, oh, it's going to happen to me and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that is so important here is obviously eat healthy, exercise healthy, and keep your mind active, but on positive things. But equally, that's a choice. I was thinking the other day, because obviously I'm self-employed, what will happen at the end of this? And I just quietly sat down and I thought, well, at the end of the day, I don't know. I know I've done readings for a few of you, and the outcome from what I've seen looks absolutely amazing, which is great. But there's hardly any point me worrying about it, because if I just enjoy the moment, then surely that moment, when we look at law of attraction, quantum physics, is just going to trickle into whatever it is that's on the other side of this. Now, some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. I know most of you on my Facebook wall are spiritually aware, and I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you doing workshops, talks, or you've read my books or different things. So, I'm just choosing at this moment in time to be positive, because at least if I'm positive, whatever's on the other side, albeit that, I may have to change career, I've no idea, I might have to become a waitress, or I don't know, work in a supermarket, or something else, or something else, or something else, I don't know. The plan was always to come here and, write and get my books out there and have an income where if I had a passive income, I could have the freedom to travel and the freedom to be and the freedom to teach and the freedom to inspire. And I do believe that the bulk of our journey, our life, is actually written for us anyway. But that is obviously my personal belief. I certainly don't expect any of you to believe that. But each and every day, and we all have melting moments. I think I said to you last week on Wednesday, I had a wobbly Wednesday. And we're allowed to have wobbles. We're allowed to have meltdowns. It's coming up to full moon, so, But how do we choose to get over the wobbles? Because obviously at the moment the whole world is faced with the coronavirus. Some of my friends from India have been in touch this morning to say, they're struggling. My friends from Bali as well. And equally, one of the most positive of my friends in Bali said this morning, I can't wait for this to be over. It's driving me crazy. But it's how we choose to react to this situation that will be the defining feature. And I remember when I came back to Geneva and my friend and I went out for ginger and lemon tea. And Daniel said the only thing that separates people is what keeps us happy and what keeps us more balanced, more in harmony when the adversity strikes. And little did we know that 3 weeks later we'd be self-isolating, So whatever you're doing, if any of you have golden tips or wonderful ideas or positivity to keep positive, we're all in this together. And if we help each other out, then it's going to be a better way to get through things. Now, I know a lot of you know that I'm a qualified homeopath. A homeopath is very similar to a herbalist, but it's not quite the same. Here in Switzerland and on the French border, you can get homeopathic remedies quite easily. And I was just kind of brainstorming with my friend Peter earlier this morning, because Peter set up a meditation group. I've run quite a few of the meditations already with him, which has been quite amazing. It's such an honour to help people from all over the world to get through this, to unite, to send healing to the planet. But Pete said this morning, in a group message, many of you are specialists in different fields. Many of you could give, do another meditation or a health tip or a newsletter or something like that. And I'm just wondering if any of you, for goodness sake, do need any health tips. I've had a few friends who have lost beloved ones at this time. And Ignatia is a very, very good remedy for grief. Now, the only contraindication ever, really, with homeopathy is arnica. If you're already on blood thinners, then arnica is a no-no, unfortunately. But all the other remedies, even if you're on heavy medication from the doctors, will not normally kind of contraindicate. I mean, I've treated people who've needed kidney transplants, diabetics, people with thyroid problems, people with cancer, and you know, the remedies have helped greatly. So if any of you are really struggling, the Bach flower essence, the rescue remedy, you know, you can just put 2 or 3 drops in your mouth, or I know sometimes now they do squirty bottles. And obviously you can use that with children. I mean, you know, it is alcohol, so don't be drinking the whole bottle, for goodness sake. There are other emergency essences. The Jean de Fraise are very, very good. Now, maybe a lot of the health food shops are closed at the moment. I know the pharmacies here are open, and the pharmacies have the homeopathy alongside everything. So please don't hesitate to ask me. I know many of you are contacting me, and I'm more than happy to help. I have got clients, but you know, I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can, by all means. So Maxine's just said here that she started sending postcards for people that are isolated. To be honest, one of my friends in England is sending cards to my friends and family because it's coming up for my granddaughter's birthdays. I'm not sure if the post offices are open here. I'm sure I could find out, and I'm sure even with my limited French I could probably manage, but I think that's a wonderful idea. I know many of you have got rainbows in the window of the house, or teddy bears in the window of the house. So this is all about sharing. This is about inspiring one another. This is about giving ourselves a kind of peg up, if you will, you know. By looking after ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually and emotionally, we will get through this. Who knows, we might be out of it in 2 or 3 weeks. I would very much be surprised if this situation is going to go on for more than 2 or 3 months. Are we going to come out better people? I really, really sincerely hope so. If you're reading a really good book at the moment, please share. I know many of you have said, I'm rereading your book, because obviously I've written and published 4. I started writing book 6, and book 5 is just in the last throes of being proofread, and hopefully then I can get that to the printer. So yeah, you know, it's just about following your intuition, your creativity. A friend of mine, Joanne, I'm not sure if you're watching Joanne Bentley, I think you are. She got into creativity a few years ago, and some of the stuff she's produced with the angelic realms and abstracts and nature, and she did me a beautiful kingfisher and hummingbird. You know, just try your hand at these things. So like I said, you know, we're moving away, hopefully, from the patriarchal society to more of the creative, inspired, enthusiastic, motivated, harmonious and heart-centered aspect of things. Anyway, so if any of you do want any copies of my book, I do have a new website that is just about to go live. It's very simple. It's just called marycurtishealer.com. So I will put a link to that later. It's still in the final stages of being upgraded, and thank you, Claire, for doing that for me. I know many of you have looked at my old website, but I just feel like it's a whole new me since I came back from Bali, since I've done the training and the teaching with Bapa Manku, and it only seemed fitting to get new business cards and a new website seems fitting as well. If any of you are interested, or you know, you're thinking of setting up your own business or anything like that after this or through this, just give me a message. My friend Daniel kindly did the logo and the business cards, and he did the logo, which is on the website as well. You know, we all need help. I can't do a website myself. I can do some IT, but you know, I'm not wonderful. And if we appreciate that at this moment in time we're all perhaps a little bit more vulnerable than we would be, and you have the awareness and common sense is maybe the right word, I'm not sure, to, you know, reach out to someone to say, you know what, I'm struggling, can you just send me some healing, can you just send me a virtual hug, one of my friends this morning very kindly, Nat, sent me a lovely guided meditation, which was quite nice actually, which I've obviously shared then forwards to some other people on WhatsApp. So, you know, if we take the time to share, if we take the time to make the most of our time, you know, how do we fill the day? For me, I need 9 or 10 hours sleep, but in a 24-hour day, you can work out how many hours through the day I have with awareness. I can chill out, don't get me wrong, I've meditated this morning, I've had a laugh with friends on the phone, you know, I've done some reading. But how we spend our time will, of course, define us, because if we get frustrated with wasting our time, one of my beautiful friends, Rebecca, said this morning that she is allowing herself and finally giving herself permission to rest without feeling guilty, without feeling shame. And I just thought, how wonderful is that? It took me absolutely years to be able to firstly acknowledge I needed a rest, because I was like a Duracell battery, especially running around after the children, just keep going. There's the disease to please, you know, if you split the word, the dis-ease, the unease, where we're trying to please somebody all the time, where we're trying to be the best husband, the best wife, the best partner, the best mother, the best worker, the best boss, the best this, the best that. You will never please everybody. But by being your authentic self, that's when you will create the change. So these morning sessions are really to help you to find your authentic self. I'm still a work in progress. I think maybe after spending nearly 20 years of reflecting and getting to know myself better, I like to think that maybe I'm a better version of myself than I was 20 years ago. But equally, it's not to denigrate or belittle the version of me that was 20 years younger and had less wrinkles and less grey hairs. But it was just a part of me. That was my learning. We don't learn until sometimes we have hit our head against a brick wall too many times, or hit our heads against the goldfish bowl too many times. But, you know, at this time when we're all maybe a little bit vulnerable, a bit fragile, should you really be berating yourself? Should you not be celebrating life? Should you not be laughing more? Can you give yourself permission to laugh? Can you give yourself permission to fall in love? Can you give yourself permission to be happy, to smile? And even if you can only do that with just a few moments in the day, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, it's a start. And you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, BMW cars weren't designed in one day. A house wasn't built in one day. An architect couldn't even draw the plans up for a whole house in a day. Everything takes time, you know. So think about something that you've achieved, be it making a wonderful meal, be it, I don't know, completing a degree or a diploma, or just getting up in the morning. I had the very, very powerful privilege when I was travelling to meet another lady in Singaraja. I'm sure she won't mind me telling you this story, because she is such an inspiration, and I'll never forget her. I'm still in touch with her, which is a blessing. And my friend had suffered with mental illness for many, many years. When she was 4 years old, she turned around to her parents and said, "Why did you have me? I didn't want to be here." This is at 4, a child of 4. And she was really angry and really cross. And when she was 8 years old, she tried to commit suicide for the first time. She was so unhappy. This woman had, in her words, no reasons to be unhappy. She came from a loving parents. She had 2 loving brothers. There was nothing that she could put it down to. Those of you that are healers, we can, you know, kind of assume that it was soul fragmentation and various different things. But she was treated by many psychiatrists, many psychologists. She was drugged. She was sectioned many, many times. And just before she flew to Los Angeles, she shared with me one morning that She had been very depressed at one stage, and she'd stayed in bed for 2 years. And I was just, wow, you know, I was completely silenced by that. And I've had moments, you know, after my divorce from the children's father, and certainly when I had the chronic fatigue syndrome, the despair and the helplessness. I've had moments where my back's been against the wall. Maybe if I'd have gone to the doctors, they would have prescribed antidepressants, but I certainly wouldn't have taken them. But what a powerful gesture to admit and to share with me that she'd been depressed for 2 years. It really, really, really touched me. I'll tell you how much, it touched me. Anyway, she managed to find someone who is a very powerful healer, and he's a beautiful, beautiful man. And he did some soul fragmentation work with her, some meditation work. He encouraged her to do meditations. He looked at her diet. She was having a lot of caffeine, a lot of sugar, and they changed the diet, cut out the gluten and the wheat. And I mean, obviously I'm a qualified hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and this woman, there are no mental illness issues with her now. You know, she still berates herself. She still says it must have been hell for my family to cope with me when I kept committing suicide and I was backwards and forwards to the mental institute. But, you know, she did it. She pulled herself through. And I will always honour her story because she's a qualified teacher. She's done a degree in anthropology. This woman is no numpty by a long chalk. She is not a victim. She is not a martyr. She is purely giving her truth, you know. And she has every wish and every intention to get out there and inspire people and say, well, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what I'm saying to all of you guys. You know, we're all vulnerable at the moment. I know some of you may be worried about your businesses. You may be facing redundancy. You may be just feeling completely crap. Some of you may be feeling positive, but you've got a partner around you who is watching the news, feeling crap, feeling, you know. How do we keep ourselves up? We keep ourselves up by constantly reviewing what we do to keep ourselves up. Listening to meditations, doing some Tai Chi, doing some yoga, putting the headphones on, reading a book, playing Scrabble, playing Monopoly, getting in the garden, obviously going out for a walk if we can do. But as I've said many times before, we are our own personal responsibility. Unless we've got children, and then we're obviously responsible for them. So no one is responsible for you, apart from you, you know. But we are, you know, it's lovely if we can help someone get out of the hole or the pit or the treacle or whatever you want to call it. I know when I was working with my clients, I just said that, bleh, and I didn't want to give it a label. You know, that kind of phrase, bleh, that feeling that it gives you when you're in there, bleh, whatever that is. It's just about moving through that. And just by being mindful, you know, how much time during the day does your mind give you the jabba, 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 jabba? How much time does your mind take control of the day and sabotage the day for you? You do have a choice. I sent a beautiful meditation yesterday of Moji, and it really touched me, and it's just about going back to the basics. Thank you. Thank you for the clothes on my back. Thank you for the food in my tummy. Thank you for the roof over my head. And, you know, after seeing some abject poverty and the shanty towns in India and the water that these people wash in and sometimes drink, it brings you back to basics. It was good lessons, painful lessons sometimes when you see children who are begging and they seriously haven't got anything. It's very, very challenging. So, you know, for us Westerners, it is another day in paradise. It may be a shock to the system. But we do have a choice to change how we look at things. It was always interesting when I was working with clients, because those that were empowered and those that were sometimes forced to be more challenged than others, let's say, were usually the ones that came out of any kind of moments much quicker. And sometimes we just have little challenges, sometimes we have big challenges. Every one of us on the planet is different. Every one of us will cope differently with things. But all roads lead to Rome if you decide to take them. And that is, again, it's your choice. So whatever you're doing, I just hope you're being kind to yourself. And the more kind you are to yourself in the nicest way, so the more you will find that people will be kind to you. If you berate yourself and belittle yourself, there's one thing guaranteed: you're going to attract relationships that do that too. So just for one day, just for one day, no negativity. Just for one day. Whether you choose to watch the news in that or whether you don't choose to watch the news. But I challenge you, just for one day, no negativity. No gossip about anybody, no berating yourself, no belittling yourself. Just for one day. Maybe just for one day, no caffeine, no sugar, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And just as you let go of the mask will dissolve, or the masks. And the more you become aware of what really helps you to be the authentic you, you know. I was thinking about the authentic people that we know in the media. Maybe someone like Sean Connery or Julia Roberts or Cameron Diaz, John Bishop, somebody who is just their authentic self. Nothing more, nothing less. Because what do any of us need at the moment, you know? So where is the authentic you? Hiding under all of the conditioned patterns of behaviour, you know? I know many of you have spent many years maybe, going to work, spending hours travelling to work, or maybe working away from home. And maybe now you are really appreciating being at home. Many of you have pets, many of you have dogs you can take for a walk. Maybe you're appreciating them more. And I promise you, the power of appreciation and that thank you, oh, it's worth $1 million. You know, just think of a time when you've spoken your truth to someone genuinely, not BS, where you've genuinely said, thank you for that. Thank you for the meal. Thank you for that thoughtfulness. Thank you for that card. How do we express our thanks? Are you man or woman enough to be able to say thank you to someone? You know, how often can you actually say thank you to yourself for your own gifts, for your own abilities? Because we focus on the negative. And my friend Rebecca yesterday suggested some Michael Beckwith meditations. If any of you are interested, just private message me. But I'm sure if you go on his website, Michael Beckwith, he does have a Facebook page. He's quite a guy. And there are some free meditations. And they're very beautiful. And one of the talks he did yesterday, and I have certainly found this myself in a professional capacity and a personal capacity, he was talking about a lady that had kidneys that were failing, so she was on dialysis and she needed a transplant. And he said to her, well, look, why don't you focus on the organs, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the pancreas, all the other organs that are working. You know, your legs are working, your arms are working, your eyes are working, your nose is working. We've all known that sensation when, we have a cold and we can't smell anything, we can't taste anything. And he said, why don't you just focus on what does work instead of focusing what doesn't work? And she got well. And it wasn't long before she was well, and she didn't need the transplant. And I have seen that with many of my clients and many of my patience, and how wonderful that is to be able to be positive, you know, and to be able to be grateful. So whatever you're grateful for today, albeit that you can sit down. I always remember a few years ago when I had a prolapse disc in my back, or maybe two. I never went for an x-ray. If you're wondering why, I don't know. I treated it purely with Bowen technique, acupuncture, massage and aromatherapy, and it was painful. I couldn't sit still for very long. But there was something good came out of that, you know. I wrote The Kingfisher That Rocked. I started going to a singing group that many of you may well be in the Northwest, that Jane Swarbrick runs. And that was a joy in itself because I'd gone to school with her. So, you know, everything happens at the divine time. But I chose to make the most of that time. I couldn't sit still for about 6 weeks, I think. I didn't get a night's sleep for 8 weeks. Did I remain positive? Yes, I did. Did I cry sometimes? Yes, I did. Did I wonder sometimes whether I would ever get well? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. But did I pull through it? Yes, I did. Am I more careful with my back? Sometimes. Do I take it for granted? Yes, is the honest truth. So please take time today. I've said it before, you know, usually during the day I start the day with the Mula Mantra. I'm happy to put it on Facebook if anybody's not heard of it. It's one of the most powerful mantras that we can sing or chant or listen to. I usually meditate to that, and then I start my journal and I write at least 10 things that I'm grateful for. At the moment, I'm grateful for all of you guys because of your support, not just on here, but many of you are private messaging me and making me smile. Many of you are sending funny videos, which is wonderful and such a tonic. And I know the WhatsApp group that I have, one of my friends, Stella, said, I've never laughed so much forever. So, you know, there are really good things that are coming out of this. So, if any of you are interested, if you want to WhatsApp me, I'm pretty sure my number is on the Facebook page, obviously. This is my English phone, so the code is +44. You're very welcome. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. I currently have my phone on silent because I have so many notifications coming through from different meditation groups, different help groups, and the WhatsApp group that I set up to just keep everybody above water at the moment rather than sinking down. So yeah, you know, let's just keep smiling. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's honour how we are feeling, but don't let those feelings completely sour the day. So I will read, this is the card for today. Modelling accelerates growth. So obviously children watch what we do all the time. And for those of us that are adults, you know, we have been modelled by our parents, and obviously the adults that have come into our life, maybe a favourite teacher or something. So I will read this out to you. Every valuable skill that you have learnt in childhood was learnt through the process of modelling, walking, talking, writing. Today we confuse modelling with comparison. He saw this, he saw that, or she saw this, she saw that. Stop comparing yourself to others. You can learn something of value from anyone. All you need to do is look around, identify in people the qualities that you most admire, and ask yourself, how can I bring this quality into my life? So pause for thought with that one. How can you bring more positive qualities, more positive time into your life, into your day? Today is all we have. None of us know whether we've got tomorrow. You know, there was a funny video going around where someone had cleaned the house completely, washed their hands a million times, checked the shoes, checked all the door handles and everything for the coronavirus, and then gone outside and got squished with a truck or a car. And, you know, we don't know how long we've got left. But if those people around you know that you love them, even if they're not with you, many of you know my family are in England or New Zealand, you know, they're not here. My soul family is here in Switzerland and France. I haven't seen a plane fly over for a few days, so I don't even know if I could get a flight back to England now. But like my son said, there's no point anyway, Mum. You're just going to be on lockdown. At least we're not locked down here. And I think to keep myself sane, going out for a walk every day is one of the best things for me. Not just for the vitamin D and the fresh air, not just for the exercise, but just to get out there. And if it is that I only see people out there that look sad, well, so be it. You know, I have a choice to bite into their sadness or to just keep shining my light. It was very interesting. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in Migros. Migros is one of the big supermarkets here. And I was just in my bubble and I was happy and contented. And I could feel the light around me. And of course, you know, the sticky tape on the floor, keep 6 meters away and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of measured in my head that this woman was at the other end of the conveyor belt and she was packing her shopping. So I thought it was okay to move forward and put my shopping on the beginning of the conveyor belt. And I was just in my own world and I was just kind of singing a song in my head and I was really happy. And all of a sudden, my French isn't brilliant, it's not too bad, but all of a sudden I heard sharp words coming from this woman, and when I heard the word meter, which is obviously the same in any language, I backed away. And the woman on the till, the shop assistant, looked at me and she was completely astounded that this woman's venom from her voice, it was the tonality. Now, from my point of view, what had happened, I was in a lovely light bubble, and what had happened before I actually heard her was I sensed this kind of grey energy coming my way. Now, obviously, because I was carrying the light with me, I'll put some photographs of my auric field up later so you know what I'm talking about. And it started trying to kind of get near mine, but because I was carrying the light, it didn't really make any difference. And then I heard the word meter, and I just looked at her, and honestly, this lady's energy field, her aura was so sad and so grey and quite dark, and the poor soul was biting into all the fear. So she obviously has a life of fear, and it touched something in me, and I stepped back immediately. Of course, I wasn't going to provoke her, and I just held her space. I hope you understand what that means. You just hold somebody in love instead of going, oh, you silly cow, you don't have to be rude to me like that. I could have done, wasn't going to. And I just said, pardonnez-moi, excusez-moi, and I stepped back. And I did it with loving kindness. I could have said, pardonnez-moi, you know, I could have done it really rude. Why? What's the point? The woman had enough fear. She had enough fear to fill the whole shop, and she was edging that fear towards me. I mean, you know, I might be carrying the coronavirus. I don't think I am. I've no idea. But I have to respect her fear. But it wasn't my fear. It could very easily have become my fear if I had allowed it to. So, you know, be aware of your choices. If your partners are biting into the fear and you're holding the light, concentrate on your light. You will not change them. If they want to be in the fear, if they want to bite into the fear, let it be. You know, put the Beatles song on in your head. Let it be, let it be. Let it be, and let go. You know, I bought some balloons a few weeks ago. I can't blow the feckers up. If any of you have any tips, I don't have a helium gas canister, you know. Maybe I need to buy some bubbles, but I thought being in an apartment block, if the other residents did or did not see me blowing a balloon every day, you know, just with sacred wishes or with intentions, or if that balloon just put a smile on a child's face as it wafted past the window, and I can't blow them up. So, you know, balloons should come with a warning, you know, only for man-sized lungs, or I think even my boys at 6 foot odd would struggle blowing them up. I certainly can't do them. So yeah, tips on balloon are very handy, but find a way to put a smile on your face. I've often thought back to that moment when I was in Migros and that old lady who just looked so sad. And obviously when you're aware of energies and you see energies, and I just thought, oh wow, How sad is that? You know, we all leave a trail. We're like a slug or a snail. And you can choose what trail you leave behind. Do you leave a silver trail, or do you leave a trail of bleh? It's your choice. And I often thought about her and I thought, I wonder what a house is like. I remember, obviously, many of you know me from the time when I ran a meditation group, or you've done Reiki with me, or had a private session with me in the house for hypnotherapy or something. And I know most people never wanted to leave. When the meditation nights had finished, everybody was saying, what are your bed and breakfast rates? And I'm like, go home, go home. I am not making bacon butties for everybody in the morning. Go away. I will see you next week. And we used to laugh and joke about it. But, you know, my home, I deliberately kept that energy positive. I deliberately kept that energy clean. And I know when my daughter-in-law and my son, I stayed with Phil and Rachel when I was in New Zealand. And Rachel said from the moment you walked in, the whole vibration of the house, because it was a house share, changed. But she said from the day you left, it changed again. So be aware of how your energy is in your house. Peter Sanderson, I know many of you know him, has asked me to write a book on the learnings I did with Bapa Manku. And he's asked me to write a practical handbook on how you can change the energy in your house. Many of you will be aware that you can change it using Palo Santo or sage or incense. So I'm going to be writing about that. If there's any tips you want me to include in there, because I've already started it and I love writing, although it's a complete discipline. It's not a chore to me. So, you know, please ask. I'll maybe put something on later about, you know, the exact stuff that Peter's asked me to include in there. Or I might private message some of you, or I might discuss it with you on here tomorrow, because obviously you can put your comments on and it flips up and I can read them as the FaceTime live goes. So take a moment to think about someone that you know who needs help at this moment. You know, for me, I often think back to the lady in the supermarket, and, you know, there was a time when fear used to control my life. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was working in the civil service, when I was a single mother with 4 children, you know, the fear was just incredible. How am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay for childcare in the summer? What if I lose my job? There was always a fear at the back of my mind. I'm not good enough, I could be a better mother. So many things that used to chew away in my mind all the time. And the question to ask, if I'd have known, if I'd have had the emotional intelligence at the time, which I didn't, were those thoughts serving me? No. Had I any awareness of meditation? No. You know, just because I've been a natural psychic and a natural healer all my life doesn't mean I had all the answers then. It doesn't mean I have all the answers now, you know. I just do the best in any given moment, and that doesn't mean I get it right all the time. That does mean that I can honour my vulnerabilities now, and it does mean that I'm a work in progress. So please take time to think about your thoughts today. Please take time to think about your habits. Is what you are doing serving you? You know, if you're angry with your partner and you're bitching and you're criticising, is that really necessary, especially at this time? Just for today, because it's all we have. A very, very dear friend of mine yesterday said one of her friends had died. And she was obviously deeply saddened. None of us know how long we've got left, whether the corona gets us or anything else, you know. When your time's up, your time's up. Maybe I'm a firm believer in fate or destiny or whatever. But regardless of whatever comes, all you have is today. All you have is this moment. How you choose to use that is entirely up to you. So tell somebody today that you love them if you need to. I've been messaging my granddaughter and I just said, I love you. And she said, well, I'm not allowed out of the house. I'm only allowed in the garden. And I said, that's fine. Go and get some fresh air. I will go to the trees and I will say hello to the trees from Geneva, and I will send that love through the trees to your trees in the garden. And she said, okay, Grandma, you know, it's so simple. When I left England, many of you know how dear my granddaughters are to me. And I left them with all my favourite teddy bears, and many of you know I had a fair few collection of teddy bears, especially pandas. And I bought Lavender a beautiful unicorn, and hopefully I won't cry, because I did cry last week. And I just said to Lavender, whenever you cuddle that unicorn, Grandma's with you. And that's what she does. She gets in bed at night, she feels the unicorn, and she knows that she has snuggles from Grandma. So I send my snuggles, my huggles, which is left hand on right shoulder, right hand on left shoulder. I can't let go of the phone, otherwise, I don't know, you'll be seeing my leg or something. But give yourself a huggle. You know, I am missing hugs at the moment, big style. But it's nice to have a huggle. I am looking after myself. I'm just eating as healthy as I can. If I do want some chocolate, then I have some. Buying my favourite tea. Vetiver tea is one of my favourites, which I love. So please be kind to yourself. If you have the opportunity to smile at someone today and just acknowledge them, you may well save their life. And I am not joking. After seeing that lady in the supermarket a couple of weeks ago, I haven't been witnessed to something like that for a long time, because obviously, you know, the Balinese people are some of the happiest in the world. So I hope I've inspired you. Even if you smile at yourself, even if you laugh at yourself, you know, I'll put the old comedy favourites on, the two Ronnies, the Carry On films. I love those films. You know, put the Addams Family on, whatever comedies you need to watch. For any of you that haven't seen the new version of Overboard, that is a wonderful comedy. If you can get hold of the old ones, I will confess that I used to make my children sit and watch the old version of the film, and they probably know it like I do, word for word. So please smile at someone, reach for the phone. Even if you text somebody, if you don't want to ring them, just tell them that you love them. Just tell them you care about them. Sometimes just sending that message, I'm thinking about you, then, you know, that can make all the difference. So to all of you out there, I will send you the whole Ho'oponopono, which I will discuss in more detail tomorrow. There's a beautiful mantra. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. And thank you. So I bid you all farewell. Have a wonderful day. Whatever it is you choose to do, have a look at your habits. Are they serving you? Have a look at how you can make a difference to yourself today. Have a look at, are you suffering the disease to please? I did it for many years, far too many years. And it's far nicer being our authentic selves. It's far better when we have effective barriers and boundaries. So just take care of you, eat healthy, drink healthy, look at what is serving you. And I do wish you all the very best. Lots of hugs, lots of huggles. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Bye.